Good morning, everybody. This is Mike Peters with the Pottsville Church of Christ out in Hickory, Kentucky, and it's time for our morning devotional. If you have your Bibles, let's turn over to the book of John. And in John chapter 3, I'm going to begin reading in verse 22. It says, "After these things, Jesus and his disciples came into the land of Judea, and there he remained with them and baptized. Now, John also was baptizing in Aenon near Salem because there was much water there. And they came and were baptized. For John had not yet been thrown into prison. Then there arose a dispute between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purification. And they came to John and said to him, 'Rabbi, he who was with you beyond the Jordan, to whom you not believe the Son, shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him.'" This is a very, very interesting conversation that we find John the Baptizer engaged in. But one of the most intriguing and also powerful statements that John makes within this passage is that statement that he must increase, but I must decrease. Now, John had gained a huge following, a great deal of notoriety while he was preaching in the wilderness. And I'm sure that some of his followers here were motivated by their respect for John. I'm sure they had a whole lot of loyalty to John. And for that reason, they felt threatened by Jesus and by the presence of Jesus. But John understood. And throughout what John says here, we can see that John understood that it wasn't all about him. This was all about Jesus. And John had fulfilled his role. He came preparing the way for Jesus, preparing the people for the coming Messiah. He accomplished that. And now it was time for John, and it shows here his very, very humble heart. It was time for John to give way to Jesus, and he does so, again, humbly and very submissively. But there's a great lesson here for us. And as we look at the attitude of John the Baptizer, so often we want to have a relationship with Jesus. We want to be a follower of Jesus, but we don't want to get out of the way so he can have control over our lives. We want to share our lives with him, but we don't want to give over our life to him. We're not willing to give him our lives. And when we do that, we try to have a hand in the world and a hand in heaven. And that just does not work. It will never work. We have to put Jesus first, and we have to give Jesus all of our heart, mind, soul, strength. And